So you might wonder, why did we even introduce primitive types if we don't really need to understand what the difference is so much and we don't really care about references and memory? Well, it's because I wanted to introduce this important concept in Java to you, which is boxing and unboxing. And you kind of have to understand what a primitive type is in order to understand this idea. And this is an idea that I think a lot of advanced Java programmers might not even know about. It's an idea that really kind of can make people a little bit scared because it seems complicated, but it's really not complicated. Here's the basic idea. We said that we have these primitive types, like an integer or a boolean. Well, each primitive type has a corresponding object. It has a type that is a non-primitive type that is the same thing. So the lowercase int has an integer class. The lowercase boolean has a boolean class. And we talked a little bit about classes. We'll talk about that more later. But basically, it has a non-primitive corresponding type for it. And those types act as a wrapper. So what do I mean by a wrapper? Well, if you look at this diagram here, you can see that I've got an integer. It has a value of 3. And here I've got the big integer, as it's called in Java, or the non-primitive type integer, and it stores the primitive type integer within it. And so it's acting as a wrapper. And so this can be passed around. And the only purpose of this is that there are certain methods, there are certain things that you need to do in Java that have to take a non-primitive type as an input. And if we did not have this ability to have these wrappers, then we wouldn't be able to call these methods. We wouldn't be able to use this functionality in Java. And so that all that we're doing here is, it's called boxing and unboxing because you can imagine this as a box. We're taking our primitive type, we're putting it in a box, and we're sending that box over to whatever method or whatever thing that we're going to call that requires a non-primitive type. And then when it gets it, it might do whatever it's going to do with it and return us some value that's also in a box. And then we take our value out of the box, and now we have the primitive type that we can use again. And a good way to visualize this is, let's say that you wanted to ship some baseballs to someone on the other side of the country. Well, you couldn't just go to the post office, take 5 baseballs and say ship this. You need to put it into a box first because the post office doesn't operate with round objects. They don't really ship baseballs individually, right? You would have to box it up, take the baseball, put it in a box, and then you can ship it. And then let's say that someone shipped you one in return. Well, they wouldn't ship you just a loose ball. They would ship it to you in a box, and then you'd pull it out. And so this is the same concept here. It's just the certain methods or certain things in Java require a non-primitive type. And because of that, the primitive type needs to go into a box so that it can be given to that method. And then you can take it out of the box when you need that value back out. Now Java will do this automatically for you. As we'll see when we actually get into some method calls, when we pass a value through a variable, Java can automatically take an integer, and it knows that if this method requires a non-primitive version of the integer, it can automatically auto box. It'll put that integer in a box and then use it. And the same thing will happen if you try to assign a value out that is in a big integer, in the box integer. And your variable is of the non-box type, the primitive type integer, it's going to unbox that automatically, so you don't have to do this. You don't have to do anything. The reason why this is important is you need to understand this is going on because it can be a costly operation to do boxing and unboxing, especially if you're doing this in your code where you have some kind of loop and you're doing a lot of operations that are requiring a lot of boxing and unboxing. And kind of where this happens is more of an advanced topic, but I just want to introduce this concept to you so you know what's going on when someone's talking about boxing and unboxing.